Congrats! Yay! Look how cute someone drew.
And this has cheese, and this has cheese.
Oh, and dragon behind us. All the stress for me to try to get my app in only to not get in is just hilarious. Hello and welcome to Day 0 of Anime Expo Chibi. We're currently setting up. As you can see, I do have a lot of things to do because I just like to make things harder for myself. Kind of wild to think that this is my 4th Anime Expo Chibi. I do have a lot to say about this convention on top of probably what will happen this weekend. So if you want to hear more about that, stay tuned. I am still recovering from vending at KomoriCon last weekend when I was up in Portland. Honestly, didn't really have much time to prepare everything since I'm double booked for the weekend. If you're new here, hi, I'm Macy of Mualcaina, and I'm the artist and designer behind this small kawaii-based business. I've vended at over 65 events over the past 4 years. Some of my largest events are Anime Expo, SAC Anime, and Otakon. If you're interested in Artist Alley and small business content, consider subscribing. So this is one thing that I've always wanted to feature in my display because I think it's cute. And in this instance, I thought I should be a little bit more festive, so I thought to introduce some lights. It's kind of hard to tell on camera, actually, but I do think it's super cute. I added these LED string lights that are battery powered, and then I just taped it onto the side here so I can turn it off and turn it on when con is over and when it's open. In my case, I did just want to try it with this event, at least now that we're in the holiday season. Initially, my idea was to have it at the top of my display so then it's more visible. However, since they are very small, I figured that they would be a little bit difficult to see from afar unless they were larger bulbs. But in my case, since they are tiny, I just thought to put it around here so they are visible, and I do think it's super cute. I did forget quite a few things. Usually I don't mind not having to go back, but in this case I forgot my sticker bin, which I don't even know how I forgot it. I think I just placed it somewhere and I guess I just don't have it. So we gotta go back. And since I did also forget my business cards and a few pink grids because I don't like having this exposed if I can help it, I just miscalculated on the amount of grids that I needed. So we're gonna go back and deal with all of that. So see you in a bit. Probably next time I'll see you is for dinner. Yummy! Yay! Hello, it is day 1 of Anime Expo Chibi. It is 12:08. Con started at 12 p.m. today and it ends at 6, so do like the hours. Got to sleep in a little bit. I am a little bit confused about today because I am familiar with how con started at 12. However, I did see a few people roaming around, so I don't know if they opened it early. I was just not aware of it, but we were kind of running around trying to set everything up, so even then I'm like, I don't know why there's a lot of people because I don't think they were vendors, so I'm not really sure. Just some information about Anime Expo Chibi if you've never heard of it. It is the small version of SPJA's Anime Expo, which is more well known. This convention has been going on for 4 years now. This is my 4th year doing it. For this convention, I will say I have a little bit of lower expectations, mostly because this is more of a smaller convention. I'm not quite sure the attendance count. However, I believe this con is mostly known for the shopping aspect rather than the activities that you can do at this con. However, I do know that they are developing this event to be more robust with their panels and activities, but you know, it's still a baby con, even though it's been 4 years. I will say this is one of my nicest displays yet. I did want to go a little bit all out, more so I have an updated 6-foot table photo since the last event that I had a 6-foot table was technically KomoriCon, so not too long ago. However, I wouldn't really count that just because I did have to travel and I can't bring as much stuff as I'd like to. However, in this case, since Chibi is local to me, I can kind of go a little bit more all out with my display. Let me show you my display, actually. This is how my display looks, and it looks so good. Also, really fun fact, Sticker Zoo and Ivy, we're all next to each other, so Powerpuff Girls, who? But anyway, this is how my display looks. I'm not gonna give a tour just because you can kind of see what's on it, but very proud of it. I do have my Otani pin and Otani sticker. I do have them since they are exclusive to the SoCal events. We're in SoCal, so also brought the gachapon for this event because I figured why not have some space, and they did really well at TwitchCon, so hopefully they do well here as well. And we have the Otani rally, which if you know and if you've watched my Anime Expo vlog, I did host an Otani rally. I want to do it again. We just got lucky that they won the World Series again, so hopefully people participate, but very excited about this one. And then the mirror. I did add some signage per usual because I wanted to showcase what fandoms I had. I do like it. This is about 7.5 to maybe 8 feet. However, this adds the 1 foot, but this part would be considered the 7.5 or so if you add the table. And then the smart thing is, Ivy did have some magnets, so I added the magnets for the table location, so I don't have to tape it. Hello! We got our first snack of the day from Starry Paw Shop. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are going to be well fed today. I did get a chance to walk around a little bit. Still a little bit slow, however, there are a good amount of people walking around, but I'm not surprised because it is Friday. If you're not familiar with Anime Expo Chibi, it used to be 2 days. So for the past 3 years, it was always a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. However, in this case, starting this year, it is Friday through Sunday. Because of that new schedule change, I do have pretty low expectations for today, being that not everyone is used to a 3-day convention for Chibi. Maybe some people don't know that Friday is open, but that would explain the low expectations for today. It's our table neighbor. Stickers you designs. As mentioned before, I am in an Otani rally. This is a stamp card. I did somewhat reuse the one from Anime Expo. However, the only difference is that this is mirrored, and I did design the stamp card. So the goal of the design was to have them all have Otani with different poses. So in this case, here he is stealing a base, here he is batting, here he is pitching, and here he is celebrating. And very cute. This is the keychain pack. I specifically told my helper to put it like this so that you can see all of the keychains that you're getting, as well as a sticker prize. And then of course I printed out our usernames on a thermal label printer. So very cute design. Really happy. We do have only 20 of these, so hopefully they go fast. Hello. It is now 4:44, and now that it's almost a little more than an hour and a half until con ends, I will say it is on the slower end. However, that is as expected given how last year it was a 2-day event versus this year, first time that it's 3 days. Honestly, not too bad. The other difference for this year's AX Chibi is that there is a vendor's reception, which is happening for the first time. And essentially, from my understanding, Chibi has an off-site location, which is, I forgot which hotel, across the street from this convention center. And it's in a little hall, I'm assuming, where vendors can network and chat with other vendors. So we decided to just try it out, at least for a little bit, and see what it's like. I believe there's some snacks, which I can't say no to free snacks, but I'm not expecting too much. I will say I'm pretty sure it's kind of like a very small meeting room, so to say. So we wanted to see how that is like. And I think for dinner we're gonna get katsu, so very excited for that. I'll say in terms of the Otani stamp rally, if you've watched my Anime Expo vlog, you do know that it did incredibly well, that we essentially sold out of all the prizes within that one day. I don't think we had it for day 2 of Anime Expo. And of course I wanted to bring it back again for AX Chibi. However, if you remember the quantities, for Anime Expo, we ordered about 500 stamp cards and 30 prizes. This time for AX Chibi, we ordered 20 prize packs and then 250 stamp cards. I don't know how soon we would sell out of the prizes. I will say that I did not expect for another Dodger win, so that might also contribute to an increased amount of participants for this rally. And granted, if I'm comparing, I did order 20 because I did want to have enough for this convention. I know for Anime Expo, at least in the future, 30 is not enough for that particular prize because there's over 100,000 plus attendees, of course. And here, I don't quite know the quantity, but it's definitely not on the same level as Anime Expo. So I did think that 20 would be appropriate, but we'll see. I think we are running low on a few of them. I'm not quite sure how many Kumo Crew still has. I don't know if they said anything, but I know for us, I still have about 5 prize packs, and I think Henry has 2 or 3. So we're running pretty low pretty quickly if almost 10 of them have been claimed. But we have noticed that due to our table placement, it seems like a lot of people are starting with Kumo Crew and then coming to myself and Henry's table since we're both next to each other, and it's just easier to redeem. And I will say that at least for our stamp rally, it's just a lot easier to participate in it because we're near each other. We're literally a couple aisles away compared to having people walk all over the hallway. So I can imagine that that's also why people are more willing to participate. Plus, there's only 3 of us in the rally, so of course the threshold is a lot lower if you're spending $12 at each table, $36 total, and you get a whole pack of Otani keychains. Why wouldn't you want to participate, especially if you like the Dodgers or Otani? But we'll see how the rest of the day goes now that there's less than 2 hours left. Almost 1 hour. Guys, there's food. There's actual food. I was expecting like pizza slices. How's the food so far?
I was walking through and I was like, and this has cheese, and this has cheese. And
Oh,
this
I
has
know.
cheese.
I was like, I saw the fed. I'm like, not for Ivy. It's like, look at the finger food. I was not expecting that. When they said there was like a banquet hall with hors d'oeuvres, I'm like, pizza? And then it's like, oh, the Delta is quite a nice hotel. And it's basically across the street. We made it, and now there's like a heck of a long line. So food, 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 food. Hello, it is day 2 of Anime Expo Chibi. We're here pretty early. It is 8:13. However, in terms of con schedule, it's not that early because it starts at 9 a.m. today. Honestly, I'm not super crazy about the con hours, but I can't complain. It is a pretty long day today. It is going to be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And one thing I am really happy about is that the convention center is blasting, because in this tent, not so tent area, it was pretty warm yesterday. It's pretty stuffy, even though the doors were open, and I did feel the air conditioning when I did pass. However, where I am, which is towards the center of the aisle, like you can kind of see, I'm in the center of it. It did feel a bit warm, even though I was wearing short sleeves. However, this time when we got here this morning, I feel it blasting, so I'm a little chilly, but I'd rather it be cold than very humid. Looking at yesterday's numbers, I would say that it is on the slower side. I don't think we hit the minimum that I would prefer to get for a convention day. However, as stated yesterday, my expectations are very low, given that it is the first time that Chibi has had a Friday. It's usually 2 days, but I already had low expectations from the start. So for me, convention really starts today, which I'm hoping it does decently. You could also say that yesterday did okay because some people who were not able to go to Anime Pasadena are able to go to AX Chibi, and now for the following weekend, they're going to Anime Pasadena. But of course, it really depends. Maybe I'm just saying things in advance, and we'll see how it happens. I do want to address something, as you might be thinking about if you're familiar with the whole situation that happened between Anime Expo Chibi and Anime Pasadena. Briefly, from what I remember, the date was announced that Anime Pasadena and AX Chibi would be happening on the same weekend. If you're familiar with the SoCal area, usually these conventions are within a week of each other. One happens before the other, and they don't usually land on the same weekend. This is the first time in 4 years that they are on the same weekend. And I think some of the parties were a little petty, the whole situation and how it came across, because it was found out at some point that in the clause of the terms and conditions for Anime Expo Chibi is that there is a non-compete clause in that you're not allowed to announce that you'll be participating in certain events within a certain period of time. And then Anime Pasadena did a post where they said, oh, we love our vendors. So of course, I think both parties were being very petty with each other. And I'm sure some people are asking, like, why would you do both? Or why would you choose one over the other? Generally, my answer is that I have bills to pay. I don't have time to deal with whatever is going on with any of the events and the drama that's happening. I also will say, I don't think AX Chibi announced it, but they did strike out that clause that stated that you can't announce or participate in competing events. They sent an email out after the whole debacle and when people were saying something about it. I don't think they publicly announced that. However, at the end of the day, we're just artists trying to make a living or just trying to make money, and I don't really want to deal with any of the drama that's happening between events. Of course, a lot of people have opinions about it, but at the end of the day, I got bills to pay. So I'm gonna participate in the events that I need to participate in. Now the question is, how could this have gone differently? Granted, I will say I have no experience organizing events, so I don't know the logistics, the legalities, and everything in between. So my experience is really just coming from someone who is a part of these events as an artist in the artist alley and as a vendor, I don't think they needed to be petty with each other, I will say. I think the whole thing was just silly. And of course, maybe there's other things happening behind the scenes that I don't know about. But at that point, I think it's just a matter of who can market themselves the best and who can provide a good experience for attendees. It is difficult because the attendee demographic tends to go to one or the other because they're so close to each other in distance. But at the end of the day, that's how events are. You're gonna have to deal with people wanting to go to one or the other. And then it's just a matter of who can provide a better experience for these con goers. It is what it is. There's gonna be some things that you're gonna have to deal with, and it's just a part of the whole experience. However, I don't know if I showed you how the tent, because it's, okay, if you've been to SJ Made Friend Fest, I think they do this at other shows. I think SJ Made Winter Wonder Market. You'll be familiar with the San Jose Convention Center's, what is it? The San Jose McHenry Convention Center's tent that isn't a tent, but it kind of is a tent. Because this one does have some structure of this building. However, it is still somewhat exposed to the outside realm in that we are enclosed. There is a roof that if it were to rain, knock on wood, we would be protected, at least vertically. However, the sides are some kind of tarp-like material that it looks like a tent. However, I have been told that it is not a tent. I think in the past, Anime Los Angeles used to be here when they were at the Ontario Convention Center. However, I was not vending at that time when it was in this location before they moved to Long Beach. However, I'm not mad about it. I will say, like, some people do not like this building. I'm personally indifferent to it. I will say though, with the carpet here, I don't know what type of material it is, but you can get static. So if you're easily irked by static, maybe this con is not for you, because that's literally how it is. I've been tasked with something important. Just casually a dragon behind us.
Casually.
Casual.
Seriously, a
Just
dragon.
a typical AX Chibi day. She got the Pikmin, yay! Congrats, yay! There was a stamp rally with a Pikmin blanket, and it's, it looks, dang. Oh my gosh, wait, can I touch it?
Yes, please.
Oh, this is nice. Wow. Okay. And it's so cute. Congratulations, you worked so hard for it.
Honestly, hey, Macy
I was
helped me
only
out,
2.
Okay? I was like, thank you, girl. Thank you.
What? Currently stressing because Fanime apps go out in like 30 minutes. Oh my gosh. Why is it happening during a convention? Oh no, is my internet being funky? Now's not the time for that. Just 4 more minutes until Fanime apps open. I am stressed. Honestly, it's not even like a fast process. It just closes really quickly. Like, I feel like I'm buying concert tickets at this point. Good luck to us all. It's like all the stress for me to try to get my app in only to not get it is just hilarious, but alas, the life of an artist alley vendor. I clicked it. I don't want to like click it too many times, but it's loading. It keeps crashing on us. This is what I'm seeing right now. It's crashing. Oh my gosh. Oh, wait, nope. Oh, if they'll even let me submit it though, I don't know. Okay, we got in, but I don't know if this is gonna go through. I'm kind of scared. Please, 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 please. Oh my gosh. And it's like I didn't get an email, so I don't think it's, I might have to do it again. Hands are shaking. Honestly, I do understand why they cap it, because it's either they do have a deadline for Fanime or they cap it at 1,000 applications. Oh fuck, did I do it right? I'm pretty sure this entire hall is just stressing over trying to get their apps in. It's kind of funny. I'm stressed, guys. I don't know. It's like I don't want to assume that I submitted my app only for me not to get a confirmation email. If you're curious about what it's like to try to apply for a convention, it's no longer what con can I apply to and easily get in? Nope, it's a bloodbath every time now. Hey, we did it, guys. Maybe I'll blur it. It's like we freaking got it. I can relax now. Thank you for being a part of my stressful situation. I feel a little bit better now. Can't wait for that Fanime rejection. He got his app in for Fanime.
First time applying.
Yeah,
actually.
congrats.
Always missed it.
Now it's very humid, and it's funny because we were talking to Ivy was chatting with a customer. It's like, oh yeah, if you're walking around Artist Alley right now, You'll probably see people huddled on their phone because trying to apply, but it's ridiculously hot right now, but it is 1:58, so almost 2 p.m. 4 hours until con ends. I wish I brought my neck fan because it's just ridiculously warm, which is interesting because I do know that the air conditioning is on. However, it is just so warm in here just because of how hot it is outside. Plus, there's a lot of people. I will say I was expecting a little less traffic, but it's pretty busy in the artist alley right now. Good amount of people. But just some quick updates. I will say I don't quite remember if I brought this up. My gripe with the Ontario Convention Center, as much as I like the convenience of it, is that they don't allow outside food or drink. And it isn't because of Anime Expo. It's not because of any of the events that happen here. It's just a convention center rule. And you know that it's a con rule because there's literally signage on every single frickin' door that says no outside food or drink. And they also have signage along the sidewalk as well. So they're very adamant about that. I will say that for vendors, it can be hit or miss with security if they'll let you bring in food. I will say that they made us throw out our outside drinks, which I'm a little annoyed by. But you know, it is what it is. There are a good amount of food options, however, especially outside. I did get a chance to walk around the food market area, so it does remind me of 626 Night Market. You can see some of the same vendors that you'd see at those events. Good food options. I would say they are on the pricier side, but that's expected with convention food. At least this one is delicious for the most part. Also, it's ridiculously warm. Maybe I do look like it, but in my head, I don't look like it because I'm wearing a cardigan, but I'm sweating so much right now. It's so stuffy and humid in this tent, whatever it is. I don't really know. I don't know if I want to call it a building, but in this location of Artist Alley, it is crazy warm. So stuffy that I'm sure a lot of the vendors who have fans or are giving away fans with purchase, kind of like what I did at Anime Expo, are probably making bank right now because it is so freaking warm that what was I using? I was using because as you know, with my signage, I cut them. So the excess paper I've been using as a fan because it's so hot. I don't even know. And I know the air conditioning is on. So I think it's just hot outside and there's a lot of people. You got Yakult? Yakult. We got free Yakult. Thank you. There's free Yakult. They were giving out free Yakult because Yakult is one of the sponsors. So stay hydrated, guys, because I'm not hydrated at all. I don't even know what time it is. It's dark though. So convention is now over. It is 6:01. I will say I was not at the booth for most of the time. The only thing I remember the most is setting up for Fanime and then knocking out for a bit and then walking around and chatting with other vendors. I will say it is a little bit more busy than I thought it would be for convention, and honestly not bad numbers. I did temper my expectations, as I said before. Honestly not bad. We did exceed my minimum of what I'd like to make, so I'm pretty happy with my numbers in that case. We're gonna get dinner. We're gonna get KBBQ and I'm very excited, so see you there. Meet. Good morning, it is day 3 of AX Chibi and it is 7:32 in the morning. We got here pretty early because we did want to secure parking in Lot C, which is the parking lot that is closest to the loading dock area. Especially since we are going to be taking down today, I didn't want to have to walk across the street to Lot D, so we sacrificed on sleep, so takedown would be easier. Well worth it in my opinion. I will say by around this time, it was pretty empty. Maybe half of the lot was full. So if you're thinking about next year, you can get here around that time. I'll also say I'm very, very cold right now, which is so funny because yesterday it was very, very hot and humid because there were so many people. But now that it's morning and the AC is blasting, it feels like the Arctic. So I'm very cold right now. I wanted to take the jacket off so that my outfit looks nice. Nah, we're keeping the jacket on right now. Looking at yesterday's numbers, I am pleasantly surprised at how decently I did. I don't think I surpassed my past years, I'd say, but it is around that range. So pretty happy about that, especially with the whole economy situation. I do think that my sales are on the quote-unquote higher end compared to other conventions that are of the same scale, mostly because it is November. People are going to be holiday shopping for friends and family and loved ones, so naturally there is going to be a spike in sales. I was also chatting with my friend who was doing Anime Pasadena for me. Numbers were also pretty decent. It was above my preferred minimum, so pretty happy about that. I will say it is lower than how much I made last year Anime Pasadena. However, I kind of assume that because I'm personally not there. Usually in the sense of a business that is artist-based and people know what the artist looks like, their personality and everything. I'm one example, Sticker Zoo is an example, Drawn by Ivy is an example, and many others, especially a lot of the artist alley vloggers. Typically, for the same event, if the artist is not present, usually sales are a little bit lower because some people want to support the artist when the artist is there, so I already assumed that sales would be lower this year than last year for AP, but still pleasantly surprised. So at this point, very excited to see how today will go. And similar pattern with a lot of weekend conventions. I say weekend conventions, but most of these conventions are during the weekend. Since a lot of people tend to party on Saturday, you can assume that most people will not show up on Sunday until afternoon or so, after they've nursed their hangover, went to church, or just slept in. Even though we're here very early, we're probably going to be productive with either filming some reels and short form video and working on other products that we could be finishing. Some information about Anime Expo Chibi. This convention is a 3-day event at the Ontario Convention Center. Usually happens around early to mid-November. I have heard that they try to follow the Veterans Day weekend, so you can safely assume that this event will be on Veterans Day weekend. Apps went out around late July, and it usually happens after Anime Expo. I believe I got my acceptance around August, and it is a juried convention, so you would have to submit your portfolio and the standard Artist Alley application. For AX Chibi, you are given a 6-foot table and 2 chairs and 2 badges. It did cost me $500. I will say this convention does have potential. I make a pretty decent amount. However, for a lot of artists, this is a your miles may vary type of convention. I will be honest, while I do have a lot of friends who fly for this convention, I don't think it is worth it for most people. But of course, your minimum might differ. I know for myself, I personally would not mind flying for this convention, but you cannot expect Fanime ANYC numbers for this con. It is a very small convention. It is a baby convention. It's 4 years old. Even though this convention is backed by SPJA, which is the company that organizes Anime Expo, they are still figuring out what they want to do with this convention. Every year there is something different, whether that's the Artist Alley layout, the number of days for this convention, and many other things. So you cannot expect AX levels of brand identity and organization with a new convention. So don't set very high expectations. Please don't, just because it has the SPJA name. I will say they are getting better with how they want to run this convention, what they want out of this convention, and I'm talking about the organization itself, but it is still a growing con. So this is also just coming from someone who is local to this con. I'm from SoCal. I know my audience in SoCal. I have an audience in SoCal. It could be different for you if you have a different art style, different audience. Keep that in mind when watching this type of content. Now that begs the question, would I do this convention again? I would say yes. I've been doing this for 4 years now. If I get in again, I would love to make it a 5th. So far, I haven't really had any major issues vending here at AX Chibi. The only thing is I'm just not a big fan of how hot it gets in here. I don't even recall it being this warm and humid in past years, and it wasn't always cold. Usually it's typically warm around this time of the year, though maybe it has been humid. I'm trying to recall my past AX Chibi vlogs. So I would say in the future, if you do get in to the Artist Alley, perhaps consider investing in some type of fan. I should have brought my neck fan, but I forgot. And just note that it can get pretty warm in here. So just be aware of the varying changes in temperature. If you didn't already, I do stream on Twitch. I usually stream once a week to once every other week while I work on convention prep, stamp rally, and upcoming product designs, hanging out with Artist Alley friends, and so much more. If you don't want to miss my next stream, consider following me on Twitch. Look how cute someone drew this of me. It's so accurate. This is so cute. Thank you so much. What the heck? And there's some stickers. Look, so cute. This is actually me right now. And the Nanami, they know me so well. Thank you, Narabuchos. They're so cute. I appreciate the fan art and the stickers. Thank you. It is now 1:45. I'm recording this right now. Look how warm it is right now in frickin' November. It's 89 degrees Fahrenheit. That is wild. And you know that we're cooked because the rest of the week is literally so much cooler. Like, tell me, how is it 50 to 60 in the next few days? Yet right now, we're in another heat wave. We're all cooking and not in the good way. Hello, it is currently 3:44 and my hair is frizzing because of the humidity which has subsided. It is a little bit cooler, which I do think is because there's not as many people in the artist alley. Similar to what I said earlier today, which I do feel like I've been lacking with the amount of footage that I've been recording, which will be funny because I'm pretty sure there's an adequate amount. It just feels like I haven't really been filming. But you know, today is a little bit slower than yesterday, which I did expect. We did sell out of a few items, mostly because I just didn't bring more than I really thought I needed. So overall, very happy with my numbers, very satisfied. Would come back again if given the opportunity. If you didn't already, I am on Patreon. I usually post my behind the scenes content, upcoming product designs that I have not released on social media yet or publicly, convention reviews that I don't share in my vlogs, and so much more. If you're interested in supporting my channel, consider subscribing on Patreon. Not quite sure if I brought it up, however, I will say that I do like how AX Chibi introduced a voting system within exhibitors. So if you're not familiar, AX Chibi attendees are able to vote for their favorite exhibitor booth, which I'm assuming is based off of display, and you're only able to do that during convention hours. And because of this competition, exhibitors are more likely to feel incentivized to go all out with making their display look as good as possible, because the winning exhibitor who gets the most votes will be able to vend at the Anime Expo. I really do think it is a good way of helping the exhibitor hall image improve by a lot. Everyone is more incentivized to do their best. It makes me wonder if they would ever do that for Artist Alley. My assumption is that they're test driving it with the exhibitors. If that does well, perhaps they can introduce that into Artist Alley, though that would be a very difficult competition, even given that there's so many Artist Alley booths that are really well done. But, you know, it'd be fun to see how that goes. I don't recall any convention that I've done that does that, so might be something to think about for next AX Chibi, just in case they have it. Now that you know my experience from AX Chibi this year, if you're curious on how this convention went for me last year, tap on this video for my AX Chibi vlog from 2024, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!